Today with two speakers, each from the different parties. Jason Block from HMS Networks. He's been the business development manager for quite some time at HMS. And Steve Darling, the VP of Value Realization at Automation Intellect. Both are experts in the field and are going to have a short presentation, about 20 minutes, really highlighting a use case and how some of our customers have been able to find benefits from AI-driven insights. After the presentation, we're going to do a brief Q&A. So I encourage you to fill out any questions you have throughout the webinar in our Q&A tab. And we'll be able to get to those questions at the end. If you're having trouble doing that, you can also add it into the chat. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to our two speakers.
Thanks, Julia. Good morning, everyone. My name is Steve Darling. As Julia said, I'm the VP of Value Realization at Automation Intellect. Thank you all for joining. Really, the purpose of today's webinar is to showcase the power of Automation Intellect and the ability to build an IIoT platform that easily connects to manufacturers' equipment through a partnership with HMS. This allows AI's customers to collect data in real time, store it securely in the cloud, analyze historical data, or react quickly to real-time data. And through the unique relationship that we have with our customers, we help them visualize it in an easy-to-see way that provides insights, essentially automating business decisions. Also, within the short time that we have, I'd like to go over a case study from one of our current clients that yielded some really incredible results and how a small initial investment has paid for itself many times over. My role here at Automation Intellect is to lead a team that works directly with our clients to realize successes that have an impact on whatever their key objectives may be. Some have defined goals like improve OEE within a certain value stream by 10% year over year. Others pinpoint a focus on reducing downtime by 25% or eliminate rejects by 50% on a specific machine or cell. Each client in the industry spaces that we work in is unique, and our goal is to align and customize a plan that brings the most value to them. As I'm sure you all know, change is never easy, and the constant pressures to stay one step ahead of competition is always really tough. Having been in manufacturing for nearly 25 years, I understand the day-to-day grind of putting out fires, one right after the other, only to turn around and see the embers had reignited and you're back trying to fix something that you thought you took care of. Automation Intellect is another tool in your toolbox that allows you to be both responsive and reactive to immediate issues. And also, we have the ability to be proactive based on leading indicators that are apparent in your data. At Automation Intellect, the goal is to provide something that is simple to use, standardized in the data it provides around OEE, and accurate so that you know that the problems you're solving have the biggest impact on the bottom line. As you can see in this slide, we serve many diverse manufacturing industries with one common thread: to capture data easily and to make fact-based decisions that gets them an incredibly quick return on investment. At AI, it doesn't matter if you're a global multi-site manufacturer with hundreds of pieces of equipment that we connect to, or a single site manufacturer with a niche product that has a blend of automated, semi-automated, or manual process steps. In today's manufacturing world, we need the data today to make the best decision possible to improve tomorrow. Okay, imagine stepping into a factory where systems are disconnected and don't talk to each other. Information flow is segmented and delayed. Data being captured is relying on humans providing it accurately and timely. I believe for many listening today, that's not an imagination. I'm sure folks on the call are experiencing something very similar or have seen it in the past and realize how frustrating and dysfunctional that can actually be. Now imagine a factory that's interconnected, operating seamlessly with data at your fingertips to solve problems and continuously make improvements to enhance efficiencies and productivity. I believe Automation Intellect, along with HMS, are the tools that can help you bridge that gap from broken processes. Our platform is designed to integrate smoothly with your existing setup, providing a comprehensive toolkit for your operational needs. Here's the vision at a very high level on this particular slide. On the left side of the visual, you'll see AI's ability to be very compatible with all applications to collect data and be able to process that data. Once your PLCs and sensors are connected, our core product comes alive. We collect data in near real time, process it, develop valuable analytics, and visualize it, turning raw data into actionable insights for our clients. On the right side of the picture, you can see how we deliver the right information at the right time to the right people. For plant managers, they can utilize a plant tile view to make informed decisions very quickly from an overall perspective. AI has the ability to send event notifications through email or text to escalate urgent equipment needs, allowing leaders to allocate those limited resources that I know we all have to solve problems in those critical areas. Shift managers have access to our tier 1 dashboards, ensuring that everything stays on track and that an issue can be addressed very quickly and promptly through daily management meetings or Gemba walks. Continuous improvement managers can receive daily reports and alerts that enable them to identify areas for Kaizen blitzes or more formalized events. Operators can track their progress in real time on the shop floor screens, allowing them to respond quickly to any changes in their workflows. Operators also, many times, feel engaged and have ownership in the process and the performance in their particular area. Lastly, there's a lot of companies that have analysts that can leverage our advanced analytics to uncover trends and insights and drive more strategic type decisions. Best part of it all, once we connect to your PLCs, once we connect the PLCs to the E1 devices and then through Automation Intellect's core application, it takes just hours to start flowing data into our system. You'll begin to see real value in no time. I'd now like to hand it off to Jason Block to explain to us more the hardware, how it's used to provide a remote gateway enabling data collection. Jason?
Excellent. Good morning, everyone. This is Jason Block with HMS Industrial Networks. So a little background on me. I am the Business Development Manager for our IoT platforms here at HMS, responsible for our business here in the Americas. So as Julie has mentioned, I've been with the company a little while, a little over 21 years, so just a short timer here. But I've been, involved very heavily with on the communications aspect here. So let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges with what we want to accomplish today, which is the ability to gather more insight from the factory floor. And one of the key challenges that we normally foresee in this is the ability of connecting the assets that exist down on the factory floor. There are a lot of different networks that exist down there. Not all of those are intrinsically compatible with IoT or IT-based platforms. So that's one of the key challenges we have here. And this is where HMS comes into play, and this is how we lend value to our partner, Automation Intellect, is our ability to connect to the existing assets that are there on the factory floor, enable communications to those devices, capture that data, and then be able to present it into Automation Intellect's platform. And so the way we accomplish this is through a product that we call the E1 Flexi. And the core concept of the E1 Flexi is the ability to connect to the local network that exists within the machine, capture data from that, and then connect it back across the networks that connect up into the IT or the IoT platforms there. This is where the Flexi comes into play there. Once again, this is a product that's designed for industrial applications and industrial protocols. We have the PLC drivers in there. We understand pretty much all the PLCs that are on the market. And this is all managed through our cloud platform that we call Talk2M. So this is an ISO 27001 certified platform, and then the E1 Flexi is ISO 27001 certified product as well. So those are some of the key things there. And if we look at the architecture of the Flexi, so what are the capabilities inside the product itself that allows us to do that? So, I mean, the key thing that we have in there is essentially is what we call our I/O drivers or our I/O servers inside there. So those are essentially the PLC drivers that we connect to pretty much any PLC that's out there, whether you're using Rockwell Automation, whether you're using Siemens, whether you're using Schneider, Omron, Mitsubishi out there. We have the I/O servers that are built in there to talk to that. And then we also have connectivity to different information center protocols. So OPC-UA is a core aspect of that, that's in there. So we have that type of connectivity. So that, what we call the device or the machine level connectivity is in there. And then what we do is we contextualize that and we add tag and parameterization information around it. So we start to add context to the data as well before we send it out. So the key thing within our product is basically is to take that data, add context to it, and then make it simple to deliver clean data into IoT platforms like Automation Intellect so that they can start doing their work around the data that exists in the system there. And we do that with basically a series of APIs and drivers that we have built into our product. So one of the simplest means of doing this is what we call essentially the direct connect model, where we use things like HTTPS protocols using, push or get notifications there to use HTTPS calls on there. We also support MQTT as well. So MQTT is a core protocol in there that can be used to connect up into a variety of different platforms. So these are what we consider kind of the direct connection means that basically completely bypass our cloud and connect straight into our client platforms there and our partner platforms. So in addition to that, we also have other APIs there as well that basically use our Talk2M cloud as means of as a conduit for the data that's moving through there. So we have basically a warm storage mechanism that we call data mailbox, which stores the data temporarily until whatever platform needs it can retrieve that data and bring it into their applications. And then also M2Web, which is another direct means that basically uses our VPNs for connecting to the device. So rather than using something like MQTT, M2Web also gives another, essentially a direct connection means directly to the data that exists within the Flexi. So this is kind of the core there. And, once again, we don't provide the whole solution here. What we're doing is we're really providing the conduit that connects that equipment down on the factory floor and connects it into Automation Intellect's platform so that they could do the analysis and provide the insights that the manufacturers need there. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to you, Steve.
Great. Thanks, Jason. At this point, I'd like to take just a few more minutes to review a success story with one of our clients. One thing that sets AI apart, I believe, is that after implementing the IIoT tool, the AI team continues to work with our clients to help them in really many different ways. Training them to build BI reports through our advanced analytics, meeting weekly or monthly with their local leadership team to identify opportunities to focus on, even going to site to participate on a Kaizen event if needed. In this case study, a leading med device manufacturer that we work with had a significant quality issue. You can see there at the bottom with the number of machine faults that were occurring over a period of time. It was a critical product line that was continuing to grow, and they were constantly seeing issues. So prior to AI solution being implemented, they struggled with reliable data that was hand recorded and channeled up through department team leads across multiple shifts. The data was often incomplete or delayed when received by the ops leadership group and the engineering support team. So, like so many problems, it was intermittent. It was very difficult for them to see at the right time in order to fix it. So because of that, the team relied on gut feel or past knowledge to make a change to improve the situation. Day after day, scrap would pile up. Operators would get frustrated. They would call the maintenance department, they would call engineering to come out, fix, or adjust something that they thought was the problem. Through the use of Automation Intellect and the ability to calculate OEE, we partnered with them and we took really a structured approach in solving the problem. Step one, we really wanted to define what the problem was. We wanted to understand current state and the impact that the problem was having. We worked with them to identify a root cause using lean tools like a cause and effect diagram or 5 why analysis or an impact matrix. We then come up with some corrective actions. And after all of that, once the changes were made, and I'll cover that on the next slide, we really wanted to monitor the system to ensure that the improvements made had an impact and were making things better. Those steps that I described on the previous slide helped to implement a solution that wasn't just a band-aid on a problem. Using our data or their data, it allowed them to pinpoint the timing of the fault occurrences along with the specific error codes from the PLC. Through collaboration internally across the various functional groups, the team determined that a redesign was needed on a specific robotic arm that would improve part orientation to the finger grips in the pick and place mechanism. This redesign really improved the transfer of kits into the proper location for the vision system to inspect. In this case, the team was able to drill down to the root cause and put a fix in place that had a huge impact that we will cover with you guys on the next slide. However, I would like to emphasize that using data to identify an issue is one component to the solution. When you're using AI, the team was able to also generate ongoing reports through the connected BI tool called QuickSight. We monitored performance specific to that issue, created visuals tracking sustainment after the point of change. Lastly, it is important to note that going forward, we created a user interface that allows the team to track data and alarm limits that can be created to provide some event notifications for team members to be able to react quicker and respond to issues as they get to those upper control limits. And those are just a couple examples visually there you can see on that slide. In so many ways, this slide speaks for itself. As one of my previous bosses used to tell me, people talk, but numbers scream. As you can see from the chart, we were able to create a graph with the before and after state there on the top left. And many times we work with customers where they have a similar problem, and there are many variables that go into determining the root cause. Their 5 whys often have many legs that contain ifs and therefore statements, and solving the problem may take several smaller fixes that require data analytics to track and monitor each of those over time. With managing change and achieving results like these, it's always imperative to help customers create a cultural shift in trusting and believing what the data is telling them. They ultimately become an integral part of the organization's long-term success, changing that paradigm from a data collection solution that's a nice to have to one that's a need to have tool to drive KPIs in a positive direction is very important. This highlights, if I'm just really quickly going over these graphs, you can see the data before over a 6-month period, and then the number of faults in the red box, the point of change, and then tracking the reduction after that for several months after that. 97% reduction in fault occurrences. And really, the most impressive thing is a yearly savings of almost $650,000.
That's an interesting use case that you presented there, Steve, and thank you for on that. A couple of questions on my end. So you talk about this in terms of a medical device manufacturer. Is this a situation that you see across multiple industries and different vertical segments that you deal with there? So is this a common challenge and a common solution to that? Or there's some variations in that. And secondly, I guess the kind of follow-up question on that is that, what are the tools that they're using to achieve this?
Yeah. Well, yeah, issues and challenges and problems aren't uncommon with all the clients that we work with. Now, granted, most of them, I would say, are on a smaller scale with the impact that they have on a company's KPIs. However, solving many of these smaller issues can quickly add up. One of the I would say, to add to that, one of the focuses for in 2024 for AI is to meet with our individual clients much more frequently, usually every week, to help them understand the data, work through the solutions. Um, I think this helps them make an improvement before it gets out of control, like you've seen in the example, the case study that I just shared. As far as tools, I really think that's a perfect transition into the last slide. I'll cover that. I mentioned it earlier, but it's worth reemphasizing that the different roles within a company need different tools and information to make informed decisions. On this final slide, I wanted to show the features that AI offers and the tools that are at the fingertips of the different roles within an organization. On the top left, the image shows performance from either a line where several machines are linked together or from a standalone machine view. I think this really allows a glance at 30,000 feet for a plant or a value stream that I said earlier is most often used by a plant manager or someone at a director level. On the top right, we have the ability to get much more granular with many different types of data subsets that can be tracked and monitored hour by hour, daily, weekly, or monthly, with with the operator being able to set those parameters that they want to view. The bottom left image shows our ability to generate and distribute reports automatically. You can set the distribution group specific to the report, and many of our clients use them through various types of weekly or monthly policy deployment meetings. Finally, one of the biggest impacts that I'd like to share that's helped our clients is this fully customizable real-time tracking screen that's here on the bottom right. It essentially is a scoreboard that helps a team know in the moment if they're winning or losing. It can instantly display where they are to goal, what are the top faults or rejects that they're seeing, and what's the status of a piece of equipment? Is it running or is it stopped? All of this is secure web-based technology and can be accessed and viewed anywhere. One last thing I'm excited to announce is that one of our newest features within Automation Intellect is called Coach IQ, and I think that really ties in to that very first slide about AI-driven insights. This is a new feature that's a chat box in our platform that uses large language models to integrate generative AI to help answer any questions, provide insights from specific data sets, and really helps our clients organize and visualize data much easier. That wraps up my side of the presentation, and at this time, I think we have some more time for questions.
Yeah, exactly, Steve. Perfect. And what a great presentation. I couldn't agree more with what you were saying about, data really screens. Being able to see this information and being able to use it just really impacts your decision making. So to kind of go into some Q&A, we have a couple questions that came in so far. I would say for, everyone on the line, feel free if you have questions, we're happy to answer them now. We're happy to follow up with you via email or doing a phone call if you have further questions or we want to have a conversation. We're happy to do it. If you simply say in the chat that you're interested in that, I'm happy to set up a follow-up call with our speakers. So to jump into the couple questions that came in so far, this one came for you, Steve. So how do you work with customers that collect data by hand, which would be considered low quality, and then they make the shift to this auto-collected data that is very high quality? How do you kind of help them with that move?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Well, first I'd say we understand that transitioning from manually collected low quality data to an automated high quality way of gathering data is a significant shift for many manufacturers. And we work with our customers in this way. I would say first it's very important to start by conducting a thorough assessment of the current data collection methods that they have. Do they use whiteboards and then transition this from that to Excel and then into some other system or solution that reports the data? We really need to understand that. So we look at the current ways that data is collected. That helps us really understand, where their challenges are, where their limitations are of the existing manual processes. I would say the other thing when it comes to an assessment is during understanding the current state and how they collect data manually, we also go on site and spend time walking the factory floor and looking in depth at the different type of equipment, controllers, PLCs, the communication protocols needed to make sure that we can make the leap from and the client can make the leap from collecting data manually to extracting and pulling it automatically, and then how that would all roll up. The other thing I would add that I think is very important that we emphasize is starting small and then expanding from there. And so to ease that transition, we often implement a pilot program. These allow customers to test automated systems on a smaller scale, like one line or a few individual pieces of equipment. And they can see the benefits without committing to a full-scale rollout. And then we work with them once they see the value there to expand out further. And we put plans together to execute that.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that answered that
Yeah.
perfectly.
Yeah. Hey, Julie, if I can add on a little bit to that. So, for the audience members there, we talk about kind of low quality and high quality data, or oftentimes what's called clean versus dirty data. And just for the audience members there, sometimes the begs, defining what that is. So when we talk about what we call clean data, we're talking about data that is oftentimes unduplicated. So if you have a database that's full of duplicates, it's difficult to manage that type of data and gain any real insight off of it. Current is another critical parameter that when we were looking at clean data versus dirty data. Is the data current? Also, has it been securely transferred? So has it been tampered with in any way, shape, or form? So making sure those channels are secure. Complete data. So when we kind of come back to the conversation on handwritten data being used, and basically we call that low quality data. Oftentimes that data is incomplete, and that's one of the key aspects that's missing there. And then other basically parameters are things like accuracy, consistency, and efficiency in managing that data as well. So I think, for audience members, when you're thinking about, when you hear conversations about clean versus dirty data, it's good to understand what that means.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that's a good way to kind of go into, like you said, clean versus dirty, really explaining it out. I think what you said to a consistency, that's so important because it's easy to misinterpret when you're creating data, when you do it by hand, versus when you have one system, the data tagging can be the same, it can be organized the same. You're able to really make sure when I say a certain thing, it's the same as this other thing. Perfect. That kind of goes into a question for you, Jason. So what steps does HMS take to secure data between the plant floor and then, of course, Automation Intellect's platform?
Sure. Yeah, if we look at basically, we have different means of ingestion into different platforms, and the key thing is that there's two things that are involved there. There's segmentation. So making sure that from a segmentation standpoint, our product basically segments down to the local network on the machine, so that we don't have cross-talk, we don't have pollution of data from other network sources there. So there's that segmentation that occurs there, and then it's basically the channels that we pass the data through to get it into the platform. So if we're using things like MQTT, for example, to directly connect into platforms there, it's making sure that we're using the secure MQTT channels there. So for example, port 8883 is one of the key ports there. And then also basically through our own cloud, we securitize those channels as well. So those are all TLS encrypted channels that we run through there. So we're TLS 1.2 there, progressing over to TLS 1.3 here near in the future. So making sure that you're using the latest, best means of encrypting the data channels, I think, is the key there. And that's some of the value that we bring.
And you just said value that we bring. It kind of connects to the last question. It looks like we have time for. And once again, if anyone has additional questions, or if we haven't gotten to your question, we'll follow up with you. But when it comes to, our value or our differentiator, obviously, with our entire pack solution, there could be other competitors or other companies that are doing similar things. What would you say is HMS Networks and Automation Intellect's differentiator in this space? And this could be an open question for either of you.
Yep. Steve, I'll let you take the first crack at this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would say a couple things come to mind. Uh, One, we offer a standard solution that enables us to connect much quicker and provide OEE data in just a couple of weeks through the implementation process. Um, some of our competitors take much longer to connect and extract data and do all of that. I would say the second thing is that although we offer a standardized solution, we can really customize certain features to individual clients that are unique to them. I would say that customization primarily exists around the types of real-time screens that we can build and offer. Um, yeah, and I would add one more thing that I believe differentiates us is the ability to stay closely connected and committed to a long-term partnership with our clients on the value side of it. So we don't implement a solution, train them initially, and then walk away. We continue that ongoing partnership. Really, with some of our clients, it's been for the last several years to work with them on building reports, analyzing data, participating in, as I said earlier, Kaizen events, and really helping them see the value out of the data that they're getting. So, Jason, you want anything to
Yep.
add to that?
Yeah, I mean, on our end, for example, the solution doesn't come together without both Automation Intellect and HMS together. I think that's the critical thing to understand there. From our piece, so I think the way that we differentiate ourselves is we truly understand networks, particularly down in the factory level. So there are devices out there that give you the ability to connect to. They're oftentimes very IT centric and understand that aspect of it, but it requires a lot of work to understand the industrial level communications. And I think that's really the piece that we've solved very well, is our ability to connect to pretty much anything on the factory floor and make that data available for different platforms there. So I think that's one of the key differentiators that we bring on our end as a product there, is that capability there. And also we've got basically a strong base of what I call northbound or IT-centric connectors that are there. So we handle both sides of the equation, but the value really is the completeness that we bring down at the industrial protocol level.
No, perfect answers. So I guess if we move on to our last slide, since, like I said, we're happy to answer any further questions and we'll circle back with you. We just like to thank you for your time today and for joining our webinar. To learn more, if you're interested in really understanding the solution even further, visit our websites. So automationintellect.com and hmsnetworks.com. We're both also on LinkedIn, so we'll be sure to follow up this webinar with a email to you all with the slides included in the webinar, with the recording in case you missed any portion or you want to re-listen, and then also links to follow us. With that, like I said, thank you again and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.